Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori. Welcome to this episode of Masters of Self University podcast. So, we're going to talk about separation programs today and how we continue to create them. Stop creating separation. The time to unite is now. The time to unite was actually a long time ago, but we haven't done it yet. Not quite. Some people are, but we need to awaken authentically to how we continue to create separation programs. We are running separation programs, even those of us who are really working hard and quote unquote fighting to end injustices, fighting against misogyny and sexism, fighting against racism, all of the things. Really good causes, really good intentions by a lot of people. However, we need to wake up for real. That is one of the main things that we teach, that I teach as a spiritual teacher and at Masters of Self University. It's about mastering yourself. And what does that mean? In order to become the most magnificent, elevated version of yourself in this lifetime, you have to understand the highest teachings available to us as humans, and that is oneness consciousness. That is the highest level of teachings we can learn from, period, end. That is the highest level we can achieve in a lifetime, is to become one with oneness consciousness. No, the highest level of enlightenment is not Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is an aspect. It is one aspect of oneness consciousness. If you think about the Trinity, if you think about a 3-point triangle, think about a triangle, the 3 points on a triangle, okay? And at the top of the triangle, that's oneness consciousness. If you draw your diagonal line down to the next point, that's creator consciousness. Draw a line across over to the next point to make your triangle. That's Christ consciousness. And of course, Christ consciousness, that line, diagonal line, can be drawn back up to oneness consciousness to complete the triangle. That's a trinity. Okay. That is what makes up us. We are a part of a trinity. So Christ consciousness is not the highest level. It is one aspect of oneness consciousness. Oneness consciousness, because that is the highest level we can achieve, then we learn from the teachings of oneness, the ways of oneness. And as some of you already know, you can learn and read about the 20 universal ways of oneness in my book that I've channeled. Those teach you every way of oneness. Oneness. I really want you to think about what that means on a deeper level than just an intellectual level. When you really understand each way of oneness, there are 20 of them that make up oneness consciousness. This is really critical for our evolution as humans. And the reason why it's so critical as in our evolution as humans is because we still live in the programs of duality, egoic consciousness, programs of separation, and we have the ignorance. We are demonstrating ignorance over and over and over again, low levels of consciousness over and over and over again, even when we're fighting for injustices, even when we're fighting against racism, even when we're fighting against sexism and misogyny, we still, in our ignorance, are creating programs of separation. And this is what I want to bring to your attention. I want you to awaken to, and I want you to start to increase your own individual level of self-awareness. Masters of self. You are here to master yourself while you are in Earth's university. Okay? So If you're going to master yourself, you have to be willing to learn how and where you are creating programs of separation, even when you have quote unquote good intentions. But I'm fighting against sexism, but I'm fighting against racism. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're male or female when I talk about this. Do not think because you're a woman, just because you're a woman, you don't perpetuate toxic patriarchy, because you absolutely do, unless you're willing to wake up as to how. You've been brainwashed by it for thousands of years. We all have. So just because you're a person of color does not mean you're not promoting and contributing to prejudices, racism, and programs of separation. Yes, you absolutely are. We've all been brainwashed by this shit for thousands of years. What role do you play in it? You're not a fucking victim, women, people of color, and it doesn't mean you haven't been victimized. It's not the same thing. It doesn't mean you have not been victimized. But if you are trapped in victim consciousness, you have to understand a byproduct of victim consciousness, whether you can see with awareness whether you are or not promoting victim consciousness. The majority of people that promote victim consciousness and live in it or are drowning in it have no awareness of it. They wouldn't be doing it on purpose. But this is what awakening actually is. True awakening is acute level of self-awareness, a divine level of self-awareness. Oh my God, I'm running this program. I need to alchemize that, connect to my true divine power. So I stop creating these programs and I'm promoting them. I'm creating them. I'm perpetuating them in the world without my realizing it. That's my level of ignorance. That's true awakening, is we realize where we are contributing and perpetuating programs and problems in the world that we don't want to see. And yet so many people that don't want to be contributing to those things actually are perpetuating the problems. They are perpetuating racism. They're perpetuating sexism, even when they're the ones who think they're fighting against it. That's what I'm challenging you. I want you to wake up to that. Okay? Because even when you are well-meaning, sometimes we're still creating programs of separation. If you are a woman, to the women out there, I don't care what your race is. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what ethnic. I don't care about any of it. I want you to understand that for thousands of years, no matter what color you are, no matter what your race, your ethnicity, none of it, no matter what part of the world you live in, women have been enslaved for thousands of years. It's just a goddamn fact. Okay, wake up. It just is. And it's still happening today, all over the world. Still happening today. That's why women are really rising up right now and fighting against this and demanding and their freedom and dismantling, all systemic misogyny and sexism. All of that is being dismantled as we speak. It's going bye-bye. Sorry, toxic patriarchy. No more enslavement of women. Everybody's rising up. But in the rising up, understand, rising up and alchemizing all of these horrendous, misogynistic sexist programs that have been alive and well for thousands of years and still are. When you're quote unquote fighting against it, trying to dismantle it, understand, speaking the truth about it, number one, being truthful about it is one thing. We need the way of truth. It's one of the universal ways of oneness, the way of truth. Of course, we need to speak the truth. So it's not about not addressing the truth of how misogynistic behaviors occur, where they stem from, what they look like, what they sound like. The fact that women promote misogyny. Just because you're a woman, it doesn't mean you don't promote misogyny. You've been brainwashed by it for thousands of years. There's a lot of wounding in women. Okay. They have toxic patriarchal behavioral programs too, where they actually are promoting the oppression of women. Women do this too. It isn't just men. So here's what I'm getting at. Just because you are a woman doesn't mean you don't promote misogyny, perpetuate it. You are also a part of the problem many times over. And it doesn't mean all women, but some women, absolutely. Do you understand? You have to wake up as to how you are creating programs of separation, like oppression, like misogyny, like sexism, even as a woman. Okay. You're not responsible for this. The first way of oneness is the way of responsibility. How am I responsible? Am I perpetuating these programs in the world? They're all programs of separation. Am I uniting together in oneness with all? Okay. So, for example, it's very important that women rise up, that they unite together, women of all color, race, ethnicity, all over the world. Of course, that's very important. That's part of rising up, connecting, uniting together in oneness, and changing everything that needs to be changed when it comes to misogyny, when it comes to sexism. It also means uniting together with men. It does not mean the exclusion of men just because they are men. That's what I want you to hear. Okay. There are very toxic, dangerous, violent, horrific men on this planet. Men are the ones that carry the programs of violence, generally speaking. Men are the ones that rape. Men are the ones that are serial killers. Mass shooters, men. School shooters, boys, young boys. People who murder, people who rape, they're not people. They're men. They're men. They're men. They're men. They're men. And yet, that's the truth. That's what it means to learn the way of truth. That is speaking the goddamn truth about who are the violent ones on the planet. The men are. Who are the ones that are the strongest creators of and perpetuators of misogyny and sexism? Obviously, it's men. I mean, come on. This isn't rocket science. And yet, women also perpetuate it. So they contribute to misogyny and sexism. A lot of women absolutely do. Okay. In many, many, many ways. And yet, when you are rising up against systemic sexism, for example, when you are rising up against inequality, it does not mean that you label all men across the globe, get rid of them, we should make them extinct, they should be inferior, they are inferior to us. You're behaving just like men have behaved for thousands of years. Toxic, masculine men have learned to behave for thousands of years. If that's what you're doing as a woman of any race, any color, any whatever, all over the world. Okay. It does not mean we make excuses for men who are misogynistic. It does not mean we overlook it, bypass it, none of it. We address it. We speak truth about it. We also embrace and unite together in oneness with all of the men who are healing, maturing, growing the fuck up, doing the real work on themselves to help create unity and oneness on this planet. Those who are working hard to heal themselves, to elevate themselves, to mature. You don't demonize them when they are doing the work to elevate out of misogynistic, sexist programs. We embrace, we unite. This is oneness consciousness. There is a drastic difference between men who are simply misogynistic fucking assholes who oppress women, who demean, who degrade, who objectify, who remove their rights. There's a vast difference between those types of men running those severe extreme programs, between those types of men who are the violent ones, who rape women, all those extremes. Men who choose to do that fall in a certain category. A lot harder to change them, a lot harder to help them, because most men in those categories don't want to be helped. They just want to dominate and rule and be fucking assholes. That's just part of life. That's truth. But most men are emotionally fragile. They are healed. They are unhealed. Sorry. They have the toxic patriarchy, sexist programming ingrained in there, and they are trying to heal. They have a very different intention compared to men who are like, fuck you, bitches be bitches, and they're just here to please me, and they're here to be subservient, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to do much to help those men. Those are the ones you come down hard on. Those are the ones you put the hammer down on, and you have zero tolerance for. There needs to be a level of no excuses, no justifications, not the same thing, but there needs to be a level of compassion, of patience for men who are healing, evolving, and growing. The way of patience is a universal way of oneness. The way of compassion is one of the universal ways of oneness, right? Because there's an extreme difference between men who may still do or say sexist things because of their conditioning, because of their programs, because of their brainwashing, but they don't mean to. They need to be held with harmlessness and gentleness, another way of oneness. They need to be educated. You don't let it slide. You don't say nothing, but you educate them with nurturing, with compassion, with harmlessness and gentleness. That's the way of responsibility, is to, another way of oneness, is to offer that to people with good intentions who are trying, who may not realize what they just said. Right? So I've had men say to me like, yes, I'm so drawn to your teachings. Like, I mean, yeah, like you're a woman, you're no bullshit, you're this, you're that. But I'm so drawn because of that power, that masculine energy. And it's like, oh, for the love of Christ. That power is not masculine energy. That power is feminine energy. They're not trying to be sexist. They're not trying to insult women, feminine energy when they say that. They're actually trying to give me a compliment. They're trying to show gratitude and appreciation for my teachings and the ways that I've helped them. They don't, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Their intention is not in any way, shape, or form to be sexist to me. And yet that comment is actually sexist. That the power, yeah, that's masculine. No, it fucking isn't. That right there, wake up, is sexist. That you assume my power that I emanate, that I pull from, that I speak from, that I teach from, that I show up as, automatically is a masculine fucking trait. No, it isn't. The masculine that you feel that you're drawn to, and this is the education part, is the harmlessness and gentleness. To be harmlessness and gentleness, that's a masculine, predominantly masculine trait. That's one of the universal ways of oneness, harmlessness and gentleness. That is predominantly a masculine energy. That is a masculine trait, and it is grounding. It is grounded in being centered, stability, safety. That's masculine energy. It's the grounding. It's that even when I come forward in my power, divine feminine, my power, and I punch people in the face with the goddamn truth to wake you the fuck up, because that's part of what I'm here to do. That power that comes through is feminine. But it never comes with judgment. There's zero judgment. The groundedness, the centering, the stability, the even tone, that's stability energetically, stability, safety, that it isn't about, there's no judgment. I'm never fucking judging anybody. You want to project? Oh, you're judgmental. That's you fucking projecting. Grow the fuck up. Heal yourself. You got a lot. You're a low level of consciousness. Get the fuck out of here. I don't have time for you. No tolerance for that shit. I don't come from judgment. And that's what makes the teachings, even though they punch you in the face a lot, that's what makes them safe. That's what makes you able to see the truth, hear the truth, embrace the truth, and then heal with the truth. The way of truth, one of the ways of oneness, right? So I'm pointing this out. I really hope you're getting this and following along with me at a very deep level, in the bottom of your heart to the core of your soul, that you understand there is a difference in intention. The group of men who are so misogynistic, that are really violent, that try to remove rights from women, who try to control, oppress, objectify, enslave you, They have a very different intention than somebody who is healing, than a man, especially, who is healing from thousands of years of conditioning, who does not mean to offend or insult. You don't cut his head off. You simply, with harmlessness and gentleness, with compassion, with patience, you educate, you guide. With unconditional love, you offer the teaching. Let's wake up to the comment you just said. It was actually very sexist. Let's talk about that for a minute. And then you offer that so that they can awaken. Okay. There are times to punch people in the face with the truth, and there are times to be very patient and soft and harmlessness and gentleness and guide them, because they're not unwilling to learn. They just don't see that one thing. They're a little bit blinded. That's part of awakening. Hello. Nobody awakens in one fucking instant and suddenly sees all the truth of all the things. Guys, wake up with the immaturity crap. Tired of it. Grow up, all the spiritual people out there. Is like, oh, my awakening. What do you mean you're awakening? There is barely a person on this goddamn planet, almost no such thing. In fact, I would argue there is no such thing as an instantaneous awakening. No, there isn't. There is a shift in awakening where you can make big shifts. Oh my God, suddenly there were veils dissolved. My eyes were opened. That's not a one moment in time awakening. That is an epiphany. That is a big shift in awakening. That is not a full awakening. Most people like to claim, I was awakened on September 19th, 2017. No, get the fuck, stop it. Grow up. This is ridiculous. You had a shift onto the path of awakening in that moment. That may have been a big shift. You continue to awaken on your path of awakening, on this journey of awakening. More and more veils dissolve over time. More programs that you run are seen if you're willing and devoted to doing the real work, to truly, authentically awakening. So you may see programs that you're still running. Holy shit. 5 years ago, I never in my life would have believed that that was really misogynistic, that that was sexist. Holy crap. I'm totally perpetuating that in the world because that's how I'm showing up. And I have no intention. Holy crap. I would never in my life mean to do that. Can you see the difference in intention? And though, look, awakening, this lifetime of transformation, of global awakening, the majority of the people on the path of awakening, they are slowly awakening to the programs that have been deeply rooted for thousands of years, passed on generation to generation to generation. Be gentle with people, for the love of fucking Christ. Treat them how you would want to be goddamn treated. This is no different when it comes to racism. No different. The people who are the extreme, blatant, racist people on this planet, I want to be racist. You are inferior to me. I'm superior. You're an animal. You're blah, 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 whatever, right? We're going to just lump them in the category of the extremists who are openly and blatantly, racist. No tolerance for them. Zero tolerance for people like that. Zero. They have a very different intention. Very different intention than all the other white people in the world who have programs of prejudices, who have programs of racism because of thousands of years of racist brainwashing. They have deep-seated programs of racism that they never in their lives would want to do harm or want to contribute to or perpetuate racism on the planet. Their intentions are very different than your blatant extreme racists. They fall into two different categories, okay? And because of that, if there are people who have been victimized, people of color who have been victimized, who are treated very poorly, unfairly, with the lack of equality. The way of equality is one of the universal ways of oneness. You've not been treated with the way of equality, just like women have not been treated with the way of equality fucking ever. Okay. when you're dealing with this, you have to understand people fall into two main categories. And it's just a simple way to put it. I'm not trying to separate people. I'm not boxing them out and creating separation. I'm letting you know this is where they fall in their path in this global transformation in the world right now. It doesn't mean when the way of unconditional love, when you have extreme racists and you have zero tolerance for that, fire them, give the consequences, change the laws, change the system. That is unconditional love. Hello. That is the way of unconditional love. Zero tolerance for that shit. And it is also unconditional love to realize the majority of people, the majority of white people, even when they are carrying programs of prejudices towards other people, the same example I just gave you with sexism and misogyny. Their intention, they may lack the awareness. Oh my God, this is actually pretty prejudiced. This is actually racist of me. Holy shit. I never in my life would want to offer that to another human being. You have zero intention of causing harm to another human being. You have zero intention of being racist. Okay. That counts for something. Hello. Thousands of years of separation programming in the human condition. We need to have divine grace for the people who are healing, who are evolving, who are elevating, who are changing. This also means that if you are creating separation programs by lumping people into the category of, with my two big examples, misogyny, sexism, and racism, if you are lumping all men are like this, fuck all men, you are creating separation. You're a part of the motherfucking problem. Heal yourself, grow the fuck up, and connect to your divine power because you are lacking power. If you are, all white people are like this, fuck all white people, you're part of the fucking problem. You are not in your fucking power, not even close. You are in victim fucking consciousness. How are you going to help heal racism on the planet when all you're doing is running victim consciousness programs saying all white people are evil? That's the most fucking ridiculous. Like saying all men are evil. Every one of them. Doesn't matter what their intentions are. Every man is an evil piece of shit. No, not every man is an evil piece of shit. And guess what? There are enough of them on the planet. We don't need to create more. We don't need to make up like there's more, pretend there's more than they really are. We have enough evil, fucked up, sexist, horrific men, horrific, racist people on this planet. There are enough evil people in the world to not lump everybody into that fucking category. Because there are a lot of people who are healing and elevating and trying their damnedest to dissolve all of these programs inside of themselves in order to create a new golden age of harmony, in order to create a new earth where we can live in unity with love and peacefulness and harmony with one another, uniting together with one another. No matter if you are a man, a woman, or what you identify as, no matter what you identify as, no matter how old you are, no matter what the color of your skin, no matter where you come from on this planet, we are supposed to live united in oneness. There is only one goddamn race anyway, and it's the human race. Wake the fuck up. There is only one race. And that one race comes in all sizes and all shapes and all different colors. And it is magnificent and beautiful. And that is an aspect of oneness. We are here to live and achieve oneness consciousness. And in order to do that, you as an individual have to do the work on yourself to wake up to how you are perpetuating separation programs. When you start making excuses for, well, this is okay, but that's not. Well, I don't rape women, so I'm a good man. That's it? That's their fucking bar? That you're not violent? Did you fucking heal your porn addiction yet? That's misogyny at its fucking best. You are perpetuating misogyny and sexism and the oppression of women through the objectification of women when you are still addicted, when you still have your porn addiction and your sex addiction. You need to heal that shit. Heal it. You say you're not a sexist, but you're doing that. You 100% are. Do you understand? When you have family members, white people, who are blatantly racist, well, that's how they grew up. Stop making fucking excuses for your racist goddamn family members. Zero tolerance policy. Zero. Because a divine being has zero tolerance for that shit. And don't you dare. Don't misunderstand. Zero tolerance doesn't mean judgment. You don't have judgment against other people who are hateful, creating separation programs. Judgment means you're creating more separation programs by judging the people who are at those levels of consciousness, who are choosing those behaviors. They're choosing to show up in the world in those ways. You judging them, you're making them inferior. Oh, who's creating inequality now? You think you're superior to them because you don't do that, except that you do that, just in different ways that you have been unwilling to wake up to up until now. Hopefully now you're seeing it. When you make them inferior because they're showing up as a piece of shit, that doesn't mean they're not showing up as a piece of shit. Any sexist, any racist, they're showing up as a piece of shit. That's obvious. That's surface layer. Go deeper. Elevate yourself. Master yourself. You can have no tolerance for that crap in this world and not be in judgment of it simultaneously. Only divine beings have no judgment and also don't tolerate what they're not judging. Go back, listen to that again, play that again. Let it sink in. People pretending to be elevated judge other people for where they're at. But I'm not a racist, but you're judging the racists. So you are at the same level of consciousness that they are. Hello, wake up. Awakening. Remember what real authentic awakening is? If I'm judging them, making them inferior because I see them showing up as a piece of shit, racist piece of shit, sexist piece of shit over there. And it doesn't mean they're not. They are. But if you're making them inferior to you because you don't do that, and yet here you are pointing the finger, blaming them, judging them, making them inferior to you, you're creating inequality, separation programs on this planet. You're creating separation, inequality. Hello? You cannot tolerate that bullshit over there while being a divine person of unconditional love, of non-judgment, of equality. That person over there who's sexist, racist, they're not inferior to me. They're in a different grade level of consciousness. And because they're in a different grade level of consciousness, they need to be dealt with in a way that is appropriate for their level of consciousness. And for some of them, that means getting fired, going to prison. Zero tolerance for this shit anymore. Zero. Goodbye. No more tolerance for this crap. But you are actually the same as them. If you are women excluding men from everything, women only. If you're a person of color, excluding white people, people of color only, you're just as fucking bad as the people you're talking about. Grow up. No more of this shit. We're supposed to be awakening. It's supposed to be a time of transformation, not just change. Changing, what the fuck is that? Doesn't mean anything. Things look different, but under the surface, they're the fucking same. They're only different on the surface. That's not transformation. That's superficial, fake change. You don't create separation and exclude others and say it's different now. That's not transformation. We are here to unite together as one. Stop hating people. Stop attacking people. Speak the truth. Discern the difference between attacking, judging, making others inferior to you, and speaking truth. Speaking truth is power. You speak truth. You punch people in the face with truth. I do it all the time. But it doesn't mean you come from a level of superiority or judgment or hate or separation. That is what I want you to hear. in today's episode. I really want you to get that on a deeper level. Okay? No more separation. Unite together. Stop hating other people. And that, again, that includes women and people of color. Stop hating. The fuck? You think you're better than the people you hate? You claim they're the ones creating inequality, separation, and yet you turn right around and behave like they are. You're doing it back. How old are you? How mature are you? What is your level of consciousness? You called me a name, gonna call you a name right back. You're a fucking child and you're perpetuating the problems on this planet. You're not transforming them. You're coming from powerlessness. You're coming from immaturity. You are not coming from a divine level of power that knows how to alchemize and transform the ugly shit that is still a part of this planet and is being brought to the surface for transmutation. All this crap has to be brought to the surface for transmutation. Are you powerful enough in your divinity to alchemize it? And if you continue to create separation programs, the answer to that is no. I don't care what you fucking think of yourself. Look in the mirror. We need more powerful people on this planet. We need you. We need your light. We want your light. Stop pretending to be light when you are actually showing up as darkness. And if you are separating and you are thinking of other people as inferior to you because they're hateful, they are not inferior. They are in a different grade of consciousness. And so we treat appropriately. And it is whatever grade somebody is in their level of consciousness, we treat them according to the grade that they're in. It is no different than giving appropriate schoolwork to a first grader compared to a sixth grader. Very different levels of schoolwork. They're in different grades. Consequences for younger children, simple, not a lot of talking. Nope. The older they get, you have more deeper conversations. You explain more. They're at a cognitive level to understand the reasons and justifications for the consequences of their choices or their actions, for example. It's no different with the collective and their level of consciousness on this planet. It is no different. But they're not inferior. Children are not inferior to adults. They are in a different grade. They are in a different level of development and should be treated fairly. They should be treated accordingly, which means that's how we treat people fairly. And for certain people, again, the extremists in the world, they might need harsh consequences for what they've been creating and perpetuating. The horrific things that they do, of course, they need harsh consequences. They've earned it. They have earned it. You can give a very appropriate, harsh consequence to somebody in this world who is showing up in the world doing horrific things. They've earned a really extreme consequence. They've fucking earned it. They have earned it. So give them the harsh consequence. You don't need to judge and treat them as inferior, because the only thing that says about you is that you are a person of inequality. You are creating inequality by being superior, showing up in your ego as superior to another who chose a horrific path. Just because I would never choose that horrific path that person's doing, that person has chosen in this lifetime, does not mean that I am superior to them. It means I have chosen differently. And my karma will be very different than their karma. Those are just facts. That's just the truth. That's it. So the first way of oneness is the way of responsibility. Your level of responsibility in every scenario is to ask yourself, get curious, drop into your heart, connect to your heart, and ask yourself, am I creating or perpetuating inequality, programs of separation in this scenario? Whether it's sexism and misogyny, whether it's racism, no matter what it is. Am I somehow creating, contributing to, or perpetuating these programs of separation? I am willing to see within myself the ways that I do, that I am choosing programs of separation. And then next step further is I am willing to alchemize those within myself so that I can transform into oneness consciousness, the ways of oneness versus egoic consciousness, AKA ways of separation. That's the path of true awakening. Okay. Having said that, when you're willing to do that and you're willing to see the programs like that you run, programs of separation, or how you're perpetuating them in the world, not speaking up when someone is very sexist or racist in front of you. Simple example. Having a zero tolerance. And sometimes it means standing up for yourself and being fairly harsh, loud voice. Sometimes it means speaking up with harmlessness and gentleness, letting that person know. I would love to talk about the comment you just made because it was actually pretty sexist, and I don't think you intended it to be. Because a lot of times people learning, growing, healing right now, elevating right now, they don't know what they just did. We don't make excuses for, we don't justify ignorance. We bring light to it, and light infused in our light, capital L light, is unconditional love. That's one of the ways of oneness, the way of unconditional love. We bring unconditional love. We bring the way of patience to that. We bring the way of harmlessness and gentleness. We bring the way of compassion to that. We bring the way of equality to that. Because what that person just said may have been along the lines of some more subtle sexism or some more subtle forms of racism, for example. But they might have the ignorance. They may never in their lives ever mean harm. So we don't let it slide. That is a moment of education. It's a moment of education. It's a moment of awakening. And you, if you show up in the way of responsibility, that means, oh, I get to take this opportunity to bring a little bit of awareness to this person. Because what they just said actually was a little sexist, subtly sexist or subtly racist, which means, and you know that person, they probably don't mean anything ever, right? You're getting it now. I know you're understanding this by now. As we wrap things up, it's that moment of what is the way, am I the way of responsibility in this moment? Ignoring it and not taking it as a moment to lovingly point out, hey, I just want to bring this up because I don't think you mean any harm by it. And I say this with no judgment, and I say this with nothing but love, but it's important for me to bring it up because of what you just said. That is the way of responsibility. That is the way of, I'm fully in presence. That is the way of presence. That is the way of compassion. That is the way of harmlessness and gentleness. It is the way of equality, because even though they showed a subtle program of separation, a subtle program of inequality, you're not coming from inequality by making them inferior and, slashing their throat open. You don't need to do that. There are some things in life you're going to need to do that. Don't do it needlessly. Be the way of harmlessness and gentleness. Be the way of unconditional love. Be the way of forgiveness in those moments. That is oneness. I am embracing you right now. We're going to elevate a little higher together. That's an aspect of oneness. That's what oneness consciousness teaches us. So if you're willing to do that, that means you are willing to elevate higher and higher. And you're also lovingly bringing other people up. As I rise, you rise, we all rise together. That is oneness consciousness. Everybody's going to be at a different level, but we can all rise together. As I rise, you rise, we all rise together. That is oneness consciousness. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, grab your way of Mason's Way, the 20 universal ways of oneness taught by the spirit of an enlightened dog. Go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. You can get the book there. You can get the book on Amazon. If you are looking for more guidance, a deeper level of help, visit mastersofselfuniversity.com. Get a free consultation with one of our certified mystical life coaches. They are amazing. They are powerful. They are incredibly loving, and they will help you in any way that you need it. One-on-one coaching, relationship coaching, you name it, check out our website. Okay. We also, now that it is January 2023, we also have classes that are starting this month. Go to our website and check out our mystical classes. They are incredible. The Power Within class teaches you all the levels of alchemy and self-transformation and self-mastery. Okay. Introduction to the Universal Ways of Oneness. That is one of our classes that we're starting this semester. So the time to unite is now. Unite with us at Masters of Self University. Unite with us, become a certified mystical life coach. Take one of our classes. Keep listening to our podcast. We love that you join us here. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. Send this to everybody you know. I'm sending all the love in the universe to each and every one of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.